Yeah, so you're welcome, and thank you so much for creating time for our evening catch up or the ACCM webinars. So just to give a preamble that African Center for Career Mentorship normally runs webinars every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Ugandan time or Nairobi time, just to guide the prospective students and guide them as they navigate the application process. So today I'm just going to talk through. I don't have the slides, and so I want us to have a lot of time to discuss and to learn from you as well. So our topic today is how do you prepare to have a meeting with the potential supervisor? So just to begin the conversation is that for graduate studies, and I mean for masters or MPhil or PhD or postdoctorate, a supervisor is a very important person. And different people can call them supervisors, they can call them advisors. They play a critical role in your journey or in your progress anyway. In the previous webinars, we have discussed already on how to choose a potential supervisor. We have also discussed on how to contact them. And so today is a continuation of those two webinars. So we are looking at how do you prepare anyway? How do you prepare yourself to go and meet them when they say, let's have a Zoom meeting or let's have a catch-up meeting? So as a start, the first thing to do is always to check your emails and to check your communication lines, which you use to contact them. Because sometimes they may reply and you have not seen the reply, or the reply has gone to spam. So it's important for you to always check your emails as you're preparing to meet them, or even when you're shooting to them. One thing I want to emphasize as well is that as you're preparing to write to them a cold email, in quotes, I mean you're contacting them for the first time, two documents should be near you and they should be ready. The first document is your CV. You need to have a very updated and captivating CV which aligns with his or her interests. Because certainly, once they are interested in you, they will ask you for your CV. The second document which you need to prepare very strongly is a smaller concept note about what you want to go and work on. And in the previous sessions, we have also had a session to discuss how to come up with a concept note on what you plan to work on. So you can just go and check on our YouTube and you'll be able to see how to develop a concept note for your master's or your PhD. So these two documents should be near you, or they should be near your laptop. Because once you send an email to them and they are interested in you, they will ask for a CV. So you need to send it. You don't need to begin working on them on that CV when they ask for it. So that CV should be ready. The second thing they will ask for is, what do you want us to work on? So you need to have a concept ready of what you want to work on. So if those two are ready and you've sent them an email and they are saying, okay, let's meet on this day. So these are some of the things that I will highly recommend you to work on. The first thing is for you to, even when they ask or they don't ask, prepare for a three slides or 4 slides. At least prepare 3 or 4 slides of what you want to work on. Even when you sent for them the concept note of 3 pages or 4 pages, don't assume that they had time to read through your work. Quite often they are so busy and they could have not gone through your work. So what you do is that you prepare slides of what you want to go and work on. The first slide will have your name and what you did at master's level or at bachelor's level, and any other related course that you did. So in other words, that first slide is defining your name and then what you studied. It's giving the background. That background is important to show the supervisor that actually you have the technical muscle, you have the technical competence to address the research question which you are proposing to work on. So that is slide 1. Slide 2 is to give the problem you want to solve, the problem that has motivated you to go into that area. So the second slide, you're putting the problem. And the third slide, you're putting the objectives that you want to respond to or that you want to answer. They can be 3 or they can be 4. And the last slide is the novelty of that work. More so for the PhD. For masters, no, you may not put the novelty of your work, but for a PhD, you need to put the novelty of your work. What makes your work a novel? What makes your work not a duplicate of what is already known? So those slides are very important. And so when you meet for the meeting and you tell them, I have a few slides here, I want to walk through them. In other words, you are trying to take charge of the conversation. You're trying to manage the conversation. So the last part on your slide, you need to put some requests. In other words, you can call it what you're asking from them. Do you want a recommendation letter from them? Do you want them to supervise you? Do you want them to give you funding on the project they could be leading? Do you want them to consider you on their grant which they could be working on? So you need to be very clear in the last slide on what exactly you want them to help you with. And so for me, that's the issue of the slide, that could be good to go. So in other words, you have the slides ready, you have the CV ready, you have the concept note ready. So as you're preparing, the second thing to do is now to check on the actual time for the meeting. If the meeting is at 6 p.m., you need to be sure the time zone. Are they meaning the UK time? Are they meaning the US time? Are they meaning Ugandan time? So you need to be very, very sure. The next thing you need to be sure about is what's the meeting platform. Are you going to use Zoom? Are you going to use Google Meets? Are you going to use a physical meeting? You're going to meet them in their office. All those are very important. And if you're going to meet virtually, which is likely to happen for international students, you need to install those things on your laptop and on your phones. Preferably, please use a laptop, preferably. But if you can't, then you use your phone. But have those apps set in. If it is a Zoom, have the Zoom set. If it is Microsoft Teams, please have it set. If it is Google Meets, have them set. Why? You don't want to begin the meeting if the meeting is beginning at 5 and you begin setting up Zoom at 5 and it installs for a full hour, that will be disaster for you. That will be disaster for you. So now you have gadgets which are ready. You've checked the time, you're sure of the time. You've checked the Zoom link, you're very sure about the Zoom link, you have it and everything is ready. The next thing to do is to read about this supervisor. You need to read about them. You need to read their recent publications, around 3 or 4 of them, more so in the area where you're planning to go and do your research. That is very important because you get to understand what they are working on, what skills do they have, what competences do they have, what research interests are they having. That is very critical because unless you hammer their research interests quite well, they may not take you on. Or if you're proposing something outside their technical expertise, they will say, okay, I'm sorry, you want to do this, but my competences are here. I am good here, I'm not good into this line. So you read about them. That's very important. The next thing to do is to do a mock test with your colleague. You can do a mock test with your neighbor, with your relative, with your friend. You tell them, you know what, I have a meeting on Friday at 5 p.m., but I want to have a mock with you on Tuesday at 5 p.m. just to see how I'll keep time how I will present myself before the camera, and how I will manage the facial presentation. So you meet on Tuesday ahead of the Friday meeting. So you meet, and then you present to them what you would present to the supervisor. And then they'll give you feedback. They'll say, okay, you were not looking directly in the camera. You were not doing this. You were not doing this. You did not know how to move the slides. You kept talking up to slide number 3 when the screen is showing the first slide. You did not know how to put the camera on, so you were talking when I'm not seeing you, and so you couldn't express yourself well. So the point I am saying is that you needed to prepare yourself, and your colleague can give you very good feedback on where the areas you need to improve. I have found it to be very resourceful and very useful. Now, so in other words, you've tested yourself, you are ready, and your colleague has given you feedback, you've addressed them, you have rehearsed a bit, and so you know what to say, you know what to emphasize. Now, so you are in the meeting now. One of the things to do is to keep eye contact. Number 2 is to allow them to drive the meeting. In other words, don't speak a lot unless they have asked. You may say certain things which they don't want to hear, and you will be boring them, and so they will say, okay, let's stop the meeting here. We will see you next time. So what you do, you be humble, and you wait. When they ask a question, you thank them and you respond. When they ask a question, you thank them and you respond. And try to keep the answers in line with what you want to work on. Try to be in line with what you want to work on. If you know you want to work on, for example, sexual reproductive health services, even examples you give during the introduction, you give along with those lines such that you can market yourself. You give some of the experiences or examples of the research work you've done, but towards that direction. That shows them who you are, but also it's an opportunity for you to market yourself. Now, you should prepare for 2 questions. By all means, from the research we have done and from the experience I have gone through, they always ask 2 questions, and so you needed to be able to have answers for them. Question number 1, why do you want to do the master's? And why do you want to do a PhD? That's a very important question. And how well you answer it determines whether to take you on or not to take you on. My colleague, my mentor, Dr. Dan Musinguzi, says there are 2 whys why you're doing a PhD or why you're doing a master's program. We have 2 whys. So there's a small why and then there is a big why. The smaller why is that you know, I am a woman, I want to show that I am also serious. I want to show my husband that I'm a serious person. I want to, in the community, for them to respect me, to know that I am also a scientist and I have achieved up to a master's level. Now, that's the smaller why you want to do a master's or why you want to do a PhD. That's a smaller why, according to Dr. Dani Musinguzi. But if you say, I have been working in this office and I have been running shortage of competences in this line, and I think that when I do this course, it will equip me with this expertise, with these skills. And after getting these skills, it will help me in my career progression like this, like the other. It will help my career to grow from this level to this level. It will help me to serve the community from this level to this level. It will help me to teach others or to empower others from this level to this level. Now, when you respond like that, my colleague calls that those are big whys. And by the way, the supervisors are looking for people with big whys. So when you say, I want to build expertise in this for me to be able to do this, I want to build expertise in this for me to grow career in this, I want to grow expertise in this for me to be able to do this, which will lead to the other. That is where, that's where the magic bullet is. And you keep explaining and narrating until they say, okay, that's fine. So when they stop, you also stop. So that is the first question they will ask you. Please prepare for it. Why do you want to do a master's? Why do you want to do a PhD? The second question, which is very important, is what do you want to work on? What do you want to work on? I still remember one of my supervisors, she was walking from the farm when the time for the meeting started. So she was walking when she's from the farm. And so she says, yes, why do you want to do a PhD? So I talked. And so she's like, okay, what do you want to work on? So I told her, I have 2 slides. Can I share? She said, yeah, go ahead. So I was able to present the slides. She was able to see the objectives. She was able to see the methods I want to use. And she was excited. So for me, those 2 questions are critical. And you need to prepare for them. Why do you want to do a master's or a PhD? And number 2 is what you want to work on. And in that meeting, you've discussed and you're coming towards the end. One of the things you should clearly uplift is to tell them what exactly you want to get from them. Do you want them to supervise you? Do you want them to consider you for scholarship? Do you want them to consider you on the projects they are leading? Do you want them to recommend you to another person who is a better, who has maybe extra skills that you want to learn? So you need to make sure that one is answered during the meeting. Don't leave the meeting, then send them an email requesting for funding. No. Even if you're meeting for 15 minutes, make sure that that question is well answered. Now, when the meeting is almost done and she's almost signing off, or he's almost signing off, they will ask you another question. Do you have any question for me? So that's an opportunity for you to show them that you're a good researcher. It's an opportunity for you to show them that you've done some research around their department, around the program which you're planning to enroll for, but also about the work she does. So you don't say, I don't have a question. You always get a question to ask her, or him. But don't ask a question which is on the website. Don't ask anything which is on the website. That would be so terrible. That would be so terrible. So don't ask anything which is listed on the program or page. You get another question which is not articulated on the project or on the website or on the program. Yet you think that inquiry or that question could help you either prepare better for an interview or for the application, but also to prepare you when you're there for the program. So some information may not be on the website, and that's what you ask. And how much you inquire and ask and how much you read, how much you do research before the meeting is what helps you to get a question to ask. But I highly encourage you to get a question to ask them. But don't ask something which is already there. Don't. You bore them and you stress them. So you need to ask something which is not online. And so from there, once you ask, thank them. Thank them for creating time for the discussion. And after, if you were able to take some notes and some action points, you follow it up by email, summarizing what you agreed in the meeting. Maybe you are to do this, maybe she's to do this. Maybe you are to follow up with this, but also he's supposed to do this and the other. That small summary, even if it has 3 points or 4 points, shows them that when you join them in their research lab, you'll be taking notes, you'll be taking minutes, or you'll be keeping track of what you've discussed. And so from there, that should be it. That's what I had prepared to share with you today in preparing to meet a potential supervisor or potential either for master's or PhD. Something to emphasize that for master's programs, they don't so much emphasize the issue of having a supervisor for the master's programs. I mean the issue of you contacting a supervisor before you apply. quite often they allocate you depending on your competence or depending on your background. But for PhD, most of the time they will tell you to first contact a supervisor. And actually, when you just go to the system to begin applying, they will ask you, have you discussed with the supervisor? So you'll say either yes or no. When you say yes, they will ask you for the name of the supervisor and any proof. So either maybe an email for which you used, either the minutes, either a recommended letter from the supervisor. That is very important, actually. I should also use this chance to tell you that once a supervisor accepts you, once they interview you and they are happy with you, you are 50% into the system. You are 50% in. They will support you in the application. They know how to navigate the department. They know how to navigate funding. They know where money is. They know where who teaches what. They know ABCD. They also get to know that actually the expertise you want to grow aligns with their interests, but also aligns with their strength as well. So in other words, you need to first of all read about their strength before you contact them. Yeah, that's very, very important. Yeah, so that should be that. And I'm open to hear from you, but also take some of the comments from you as we have saved some time for our discussion. So please, you can just unmute yourself and then ask a question or make a comment.
Good evening.
Yes.
I'm John.
Yeah.
I'm John December. Thank you, Mr. Abel, for the insightful deliberation and guidance on what we need to, or what one needs to prepare beforehand. Yeah. In fact, I myself, I have a meeting with a supervisor, a supervisor at a university in UK. Yeah. Next week on Tuesday. But I didn't know actually what exactly to prepare. I even asked the person who connected me, what do I need to prepare? And the person was telling me, just tell him what you are doing, then you will find how to fit you in. Okay, now my dilemma is, I requested to move for work, but eventually it should culminate into studies. And then this colleague of mine connected me to this university senior lecturer, and he asked him to organize a meeting, and we talk about it. So I'm confused. I don't know what to exactly pitch. Should I pitch to actually find work because it's at a university, or I should take the line of wanting to study maybe for a master's, then get into the system?
Yeah, John, you ask a very important question. The first thing to do, so who organized the meeting? Is it your colleague or the supervisor, this person?
It's my colleague, but I realize he's also a fellow at that very university.
So he understands. So are they in the same lab with this gentleman, this person?
Most likely they're in the same department.
And in the email which he wrote, he copied the other person in.
Yeah. Yes, he copied him in, and then he's the one who told him, yeah, it's okay. He asked him to organize a meeting for us to discuss.
Have you read about him to know whether he has a project which is running, which is in line with your interest or not?
I've done some surface reading about the would-be supervisor. I haven't gone in depth, and I find like most of his works are not aligning with what I am into right now, and maybe what my interests would be. Though I'm partly exposed to them in my current work environment, but I've not done any core work in his interests. In what I haven't analyzed what I've picked here is to look at his most recent publications and see what they've been into, but just a broad and a summary about his profile already told me like it's not so much in line with what I'm I'm doing currently, or what I would be so much interested in.
Yeah. That is very important, and already that alone sends a signal for two of you that so there are two things here. There are two things to run around it. Number one, if you badly want to go to their lab or to where he is, or if you badly want to cross to UK, if you badly want, you align to what he's doing. Then you show that actually you are interested in what he's doing, but that is short-lived, I want to say, because as you get here, work will begin boring you. You will begin feeling bored and feeling overwhelmed in a very short time, and you will struggle even when you're here. And some people may not see it easily. They may even want to have you deported back to Uganda. So it's tricky, but what you need to do is to have a deeper conversation with your colleague and tell him, you know, for me, these are my career aspirations. I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to finish this, I want to work here and there. Those are my career aspirations. Is this gentleman having a project in this line? Is he having a network or connections into this line? If your colleague tells you so you begin positioning yourself into that direction. Now, the other aspect you were asking, whether to speak about work or studies, you can talk about them at a go. Depending on what he has, if he has a project, so you can become on as a staff on the project or as research assistant, and then meanwhile you enroll for studies. Actually, in that conversation, after your colleague briefing you in details, you will see how to position yourself. For example, you can agree that you can mention that I want to come as a student, but after I want to work. Number two, you can say, I want you to employ me on your project, and instead of paying me salary, you pay for me tuition, or you pay for me living allowance. So in other words, it is about striking a balance. I am happy to have another conversation with you privately once you've probed more from your colleague. But also from this meeting, you hear that there is need for deeper conversation, deeper reading and research about them before before you contact them. But for you, since you've contacted them already, and since he has accepted, it means he wants somebody. It means he wants to take on students to supervise for his master's or PhD, or they want somebody to put on the project. So if you read deeper, you will understand the project he could be working on. And that information is always on the staff profile. That short bio they normally give to every staff. They normally indicate the projects he's working on. Yeah, so you could dive deeper, and if you need more inquiries, I'm happy to have another conversation with you. Actually, we could even do a mock interview with actually you can just ask a mock interview from your colleague, the one who is connecting you. That's a very good person to do a mock interview with.
Mr. Abel.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the one I'm calling my colleague is actually just a contact I got in my earlier time of work, and he was Australian. So when I contacted him, when I got the thought to move out, he's the one who told me was in the UK currently, living in the UK and working in the UK. So he doesn't give me that much time. He's the one I asked on what I should prepare, and he just told me, you don't need to do anything much, just tell him what you're doing. And so I'm getting support from my current supervisor, who tasked me to read about that, for that supervisor in the UK. So today I told her what I found out, and so she told me she wants to mentor me more into to help me align with the interests of the supervisor. So
Okay.
I'm meeting her tomorrow to
Yeah.
try and guide me on tell me how I can maybe realign myself to
Yeah.
suit the interests. But I would also be very happy to do like a mock interview with you,
Yeah.
mock meeting with you. So most probably on Monday, let me try to work around it, and
Yeah.
I will be happy to be guided. Thank you.
You're welcome, John, and all the best. It is a very big step. If they accept and they love, if they get impressed by you in the interview, trust me, you will be almost in. You will be almost
Okay.
in. And then Jay,
Yes.
yeah, Jay is asking for scholarship. Jay, can you speak? Are you able to speak? Jay, can you speak? Or you're not? Yeah, just to respond to her. She was saying that she wants scholarship. So yeah, Jay, just inbox me on WhatsApp right now. I will add you to a scholarship platform where we share, page where we share scholarship opportunities for both PhD and masters. There are so many. But of course, you need to define where you want to go and which ones you want to go for. Otherwise, you may shoot at 10 and bring back 0. But if you prepare well, you can shoot at 2 and you get 2 of them home. You can shoot at 1 and bring 1 home. The most important thing is to prepare and to be strategic. And realign to what these guys are looking for. They will give you the money and they will give you the funding. Okay, so that's great. Any other inquiry or question?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Akiro.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Abel, for this very great discussion this evening. I have really learned quite a lot. Sorry, I'm in a noisy place, but I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, you're very clear.
Yeah.
Proceed.
One time I had an interview, actually an encounter with a supervisor who actually was proposing to give me a scholarship in an area that I wasn't so much interested in. And I'm just wondering, how do you go about that? You don't want to hurt them because you know you still need to work with them somehow. Of course, he was directing towards a particular area of his interest, but it wasn't really like my interest. So how do you go about such?
Yeah, thank you so much, Francisca. And that is going to happen. There is no shortcut about that. That is going to happen. Because for me, I lecture at Makerere University. And so we write grants and we write proposals. Even right now, as I speak, I'm writing a very big project of $1 million US right now for 5 years. When we have got the grant and the project, we bring on people that are in line with our interests, our research interests. Why? When you are doing research, you don't want to research on so many things. So when you're publishing, you publish in a specific area. And so it means that when you're taking on students for supervision, you take on students who want to do work in a specific area that you want to be known in. Either the methodology they will use or the research topics or the research questions they want to go and answer. They should be in a particular line. So because that is the case, we are intentional in taking people who will make us grow or make us proceed. So the most important thing to do as a student who is in school is to define exactly where you want to go. You as an individual, and I would highly recommend that you go to people who are going to lead you to where you want to go. Now, the hardest challenge which I came across is that many people haven't fully defined where they want to go. And so on our YouTube, we have a recording where we call it defining yourself for full potential, where we use the 4W framework that I initiated. So I highly recommend that if you haven't fully visualized where your career is taking you, then you first go and watch our video, and then you come up with a career vision, very clear career projection, and then you will know which skills you want, which expertise you want to grow, and where do you see yourself 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Then you will see who can take you there. Why that is important is that if somebody takes you on in a field which you don't like, within a space of 1 month after reporting to the US or Australia or UK, you lose interest. You lose interest. And when you lose interest, it is so terrible. You want to come back home in Uganda or Kenya, but your visa says this, you don't have a ticket, you don't have, you're missing home, you're missing your company, you're missing family. What they are working on in their lab does not interest you, does not excite you. So you begin regretting why you even took on the scholarship. And that is how we have the suicidal incidences. Somebody just gets on top of the level 3 building and they fall down and they go because they are frustrated, they are disappointed. They want to go back to Uganda and the place is far. So mental health is a big issue in graduate school. But that comes partly when what you're working on does not fascinate you. And because of that, you don't like doing some tasks and some assignments and some homeworks and some lectures. And that alone makes the supervisor get frustrated with you. And either they can remove the scholarship from you along with the way, or they can write a bad report about you, and that can mess up everything. So how do you deal with somebody who is taking in an area where you don't like? The first thing to do is to be open. By the way, if you're dealing with the Western countries, I mean Europe, I mean UK, I mean the US, they like, you just tell them, no, I don't like this, I don't like this, I want to go for this, and they are very happy about it. The more specific you are, the better. They don't want somebody who will blind, or who will say, yeah, you know, I love it, but along the way, the person loses interest. It's very painful and very challenging. So what you do is to be open, and most if you're dealing with international team, be open. They have no problem. It is only our colleagues from where we come from who will say, you know, you see, and they begin hunting you down. They say, okay, you refuse me to supervise you, we shall see, you will receive me, all that. But for the Western world, just once you're open, they like it. Yeah. And for me, I wouldn't recommend you to deceive that, you know, I am interested, you get in, and when you're there, you want to change the supervisor or you want to change the topic, it can be terrible, because if they put you on their project and you want to do something different, it means you must get a new supervisor. Now, changing a supervisor is so challenging. Yeah, I don't know whether Akero that answers your inquiry.
Yeah, you've answered me perfectly. Thank you.
It's not straightforward, but I just wanted to rotate around it. Yeah. It's not
Thanks
easy.
a lot.
It's not easy to go in for somebody whom you're not particularly moved in what they are doing. It is not easy. Yeah. Okay, so
hello.
Yes. Yes, Jay, I think I had responded to you.
Yes, it came about a time when you asked me to speak, but something happened that couldn't let me share very well.
Okay.
Yes, my concern was, I would like guidance about the platforms that have available scholarships right now for masters and then PhD.
I put my number in the chat. Let me just reshare. Just text me right now. I will put you there, and you're going to see very many of them. It's a matter of you being strategic and knowing. Actually, well, let me tell you the fact. when we began sharing scholarship opportunities in July 2022, for me, I thought that very many students from Africa did not have access to scholarship opportunities. So my problem was, let me send scholarship opportunities to them. Let me send. What I came to realize actually is that the problem is not accessing information, because scholarships are there. The problem I found is that the issue we have found over time is that helping people through the application process is where the biggest problem is. So if you can see our webinars, our SCCM webinars, they are towards that line. For example, when you go to our YouTube channel, we are talking about how do you contact a supervisor, how do you navigate the application process, how do you identify scholarships, how do you identify a supervisor to work with. Today we are discussing how do you prepare yourself to meet the supervisor. Next week on Tuesday I'm going to be hosting a lady from Cameroon, but she's doing her PhD here at Cambridge, and she's going to be talking about the entire application process to the top leading universities. So the problem is not accessing information from what we have found out. The problem is navigating the system. People fear to begin applying. People fear to go and research about programs and courses. But anyway, so my advice is that even when I add you there, you need to first of all define where you want to go. Do you want to go to Australia? Do you want to go to Canada? Do you want to go to the US? If yes, what are the requirements? You want English test, you need GMAT, you need this, you need the visa, you need a passport, you need this and the other. And you begin working on what are the requirements, and then you don't keep going for every scholarship, but you be organized. You say, okay, I want to go here, and I want to go to these places. Which scholarships are there? I said there are 4. Okay, I want to apply to these 4 only. So even if they keep sharing others, until you finish these 4, you don't take on others. For me, that's what I have found useful. Deciding, focusing, and increasing the quality of the write-ups is more useful than you applying at 10 or 20. I don't know whether it makes sense, Jay.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does make sense.
So you inbox me, I will put you there. But my interest is that when you're there, don't get lost. Let me just give you a scenario that we have 8 scholarship groups. One of them has 973 people. Another one has around I think 600. Now all of them, those are prospective students, and you share an opportunity, and only 4 people read it. We have those statistics. Only 4 people are taking it on. You have 1,000 people on the pages, but only 20 people apply, and maybe 7 or 10 of them get taken on. So for me, my biggest problem is that why are people not taking on the opportunities? Because by the time they came to be added on these pages, they wanted. But why are they not taking on the opportunities? Yeah, we are planning to do a qualitative study among the people on those pages, and we try to understand why they are fearing or why they are struggling with too much content anyway. But we will get to that with time. Okay, so yeah, you're welcome. We still have 9 minutes. Yeah, Grandson says perhaps laziness, because that's true, and Grandson, you're very right. Application is need dedication. Actually, I run a coaching program every Saturday and Sunday. And on Sunday, one of the ladies, she testified and she said, Abel, you know what? I said, yes. These scholarships are just another job of its own. It is so stressful. It requires commitment. It requires dedication. You must create time to go and get into the system. You must read instructions. You must write essays. Somebody should review them for you. This is another job of its own. So, Grandson, thank you for raising that. And you're very right. Okay, and I'd say some of us won't be eligible for some scholarship programs. Knight, do you want to say something? Do you want to unmute and comment about that?
Yes, thank you very much, Abel, for your time. So I've recently been added to one of the groups. I'm trying out the Chevening Scholarship. And why I said eligibility is because some of those programs limit the age. So you realize that there are actually very few master's programs or scholarship programs that will allow someone who's above 30, above 35, and you find that it's only like Chevening and maybe Commonwealth, especially because some of our education systems don't fit in like the American type. So I'm a physiotherapist, and when you go to America, they will tell you to do their Doctor of Physiotherapy program, which would take you another 4 years to do. So I think it's not just because people are lazy to check them out or are not so interested or have not made so much research, but there are those of us who are actually not eligible to very many programs. That's what I meant. Thank you.
That makes sense. That makes sense. We want to do a study. We are designing a study, I think, around December. We want to do a study and we'll try to dig deeper to understand some of the concerns colleagues have, and we see how to navigate around them. Because for me, the big number, a Night, you saw, Night, which page are you on? Are you on 7 or 8?
I'm on 7.
And 7 has 976 people as of today. Now, that is it's a big number. And if we only have 10 people responding to a call, then there's something beyond that. But we will chat, we will try to do a study, and we dig deeper into people's sentiments, and we see how we can address them. Otherwise, we may not be helping people enough, but let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so we still have 7 minutes, 6 actually. Members, if you have any inquiry about preparing for the meeting with the supervisor, please, you're welcome. Grandson, please go ahead.
Thank you, Doctor. Actually, mine is like something that caught my attention and surprised me because the first time I heard about Chevening scholarship, the main point people were raising was that they need 2 years of experience. So to my surprise, when I was reading through their website information, I found out that actually those 2 years of experience can be raised because they consider work that you did even after undergrad, during undergrad, and after undergrad. And the work, it is exclusive of internships that were done as an undergraduate requirement. So I always thought that I couldn't apply for this scholarship because I need 2 years of experience because I graduated this year in February. But to my surprise, when I found that information, I've been able to gather all the experience, work experience, and I'm now applying. So maybe what I can advise people on the call is that they need to get first-hand information from the website of those of the scholarships. Yeah, it's just a tip.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, and we will see how we'll keep going. And I will inbox you, tell me more about University of Cape Town and how it's going. I will inbox you and we talk more in that line. Yeah. Okay. So, members, unless there is another inquiry, we could do. I still have 4 minutes. So if somebody has a question, we are happy to take it on. Okay, we seem to be happy, and so we keep in touch, and you're welcome to visit our social media handles, and specifically the YouTube is where we are putting all these resources to support you as you navigate the journey. And so we see you next week, the same time and same Zoom link. All the best, and we meet on 17th.
Thank you.